I'm at 3232 Atherton Road in Dayton, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. The access point, as of now, is this. It's a backflow preventer. It's inside the closet in the basement bathroom, and you can see there's a flap that goes into that area. It prevents the water. The water can go out, but if it backs up, it will push close that flap and not allow it to back up into the house or the toilet or whatever's after it. So, or before it, I should say. And so we're going to go in through this and go upstream first. I'm just going to go back a little bit to take a look at all this. This looks like this is all PVC. This has all been this bathroom was added later. And so, looks like this is probably the toilet, and that is going up through the vent stack in the back. And this line all looks really good. Everything is intact, no standing water. I did run some water through this already, so the fact that there is no standing water is also a good sign. No bellies or anything. Now we're going downstream, and that looks like it makes an immediate left, and then another left here. And this looks like it's dropping down with a clean out above it. And it looks like we're dropping into cast iron. So I'm going to locate this spot and see right about where we are. And that way we can see where this spot is. That's what it looks like. What we have here is the looks like it turned around, and then the clean out just to the left of the shower is where I am. So this is the access. The line actually loops around, so it comes out of the toilet and everything, comes up, goes through the backflow preventer, then wraps back around and comes into this clean out there just to the left of the shower if you're standing in the doorway. So I'm going to pull back. I'm going to pause the video, and then I will check that clean out, because they must have did all this high. I guess the main line was lower, and so they were able to put all this plumbing in high underneath the floor, and that allowed them, it kept them from having to dig as deep. So they put the backflow preventer in, and so I put the camera back in the reel, and I'm going to pause the video for a second. That whole section looked really good. I'm going to pause the video for a second because I'm going to have to remove the cover for the clean out, and so I can gain access. Okay, so I am going to roll this forward until we get back to about 0 here. There we go. And you can see, this is where we're going in now. The toilet is here. This is the vanity. And there's this, once you remove that brass plate, that's why it says the CO on it. This is for clean out. And then this should go straight down into cast iron, and it looks like it's going out towards the, this is a clean out that has existed for a while. They just added to the top of it, and we're heading, looks like it's heading out the back. I'm going to run some water here for a minute, and then we're going to, that way we can rinse off the camera here. Going through those clean outs sometimes will add some It has some stuff on the bottom, so it just gets on the front of the camera. So we're going to try to rinse this off a little bit so we can see what's going on. There we go. Okay. So this is cast iron, which would have been the original line. And when it looks like it's exiting out the rear and going into clay. This is all normal for the age of the house. This is all the normal age, or age-appropriate material. Clay is a pretty good material. You don't usually have a whole lot of issues with it other than maybe some root intrusion. Can last for a very long time. The cast iron, it's a little different because you can never really tell how long cast iron will last because it does rust, and so it's hard to tell how thin or thick the line is, especially with the camera. There's no way to x-ray the stuff to see what kind of shape it's in. But clay is been used for 100 years, and as long as you don't have anything major shifting going on or anything, it usually will last for a very long time. Now, right now, I am either under a bunch of water or I'm pushing the blockage. It looks like I keep seeing kind of flashes of the water's edge. So we're going to have to see. Looks like there's a belly there, but we don't know how much of a belly that is. The camera lens is only about a ½ an inch off the bottom of the pipe, so it's not much. So it doesn't take much water to cover the lens. So what I may have to do is go get a standoff, and that way we can actually check to see how deep that water is. It looks like we are already at the main. There is the sewer main. It's 47 feet from this clean out in the rear. So we're going to pull back. Maybe we'll get a little bit better look at it as we pull back. Sometimes you're pushing all the water up in front of the camera among other things, and sometimes just a little bit of toilet paper in the line can make the water back up, because you can still see it running pretty well there. If you look, there's a little tiny bit of roots there. Nothing that's causing any current issues or anything, but it is something that you do want to maybe take a look at in 3 to 5 years and check the growth rate, because it may need some maintenance. It is normal to have a little bit of maintenance with these old sewer lines, and that's where a lot of this white stuff looks like it's covering some roots, and that may be some from some treatment. They may have put some root X down here and got and that's what it's kind of burned back the roots. And so you can see there's a little bit of flashes there where this camera lens is barely below water. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to see if I can get a standoff here so we can look at all of this, because we want to be able to look at this 25 feet, be able to see above this water line, see how severe this belly actually is, and if there's any root intrusion or something that may be causing it to hold water. See, this looks like there's some roots, but they may have put some treatment in there, and that's why the coloring of the line is, or of the roots, is what, white, a white coating, or it could be grease, but based off of what I'm seeing, it's probably some root treatment. We're back in the cast iron, and we should be getting ready to go vertical again. And so we did make it all the way out to the main, but we had roughly 15 feet where the line was, where the camera was submerged. So I'm going to pause the video again. We're going to go get an attachment for the front of the camera and see if we can get out to the that spot with a little bit of a lift on the camera, so we can hopefully see above the water line. Okay. So we've got a small base because we have very limited access here as far as the diameter of the pipe. So we have a small standoff on this, and we're hoping we can get a better idea of what that belly looks like, and hopefully we can see above it and make sure that there's no other issues. It does look like you want to maybe monitor the little bit of root intrusion that you do have. You can ask them if they've been using some root treatment, and if that's what the discoloration there, because it looks like roots getting in at that joint there, which is normal for this pipe material. And then but that could be the root treatment. It could actually, or it could just be, grease binding onto it. That's what grease looks like, that white coating. But it looks like I just want to try to gauge this, and maybe it'll be a little bit better when we pull back. I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to go get a locate. I think what we're going to have this this belly evaluated by a licensed plumber. I can't tell how deep this is. It's at least roughly 2 inches deep. This should be a 6-inch diameter clay line, and so, based off of the buildup, I didn't have any issues pushing through it, and I don't see any solids coming out on the other end like I was scraping. But with the discoloration of the water, how dark it is, I can't really even make out. I can't make out the depth, and can't figure out, if there's anything major in that spot. It obviously can't be inspected in that looks like 15 to 20 foot section here. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to locate the end of it, and then I will pull back to the beginning of the belly and mark that also. Okay, so this is 10 foot, almost exactly 10 foot deep to the invert. That is the inside bottom of the pipe. And so maybe we'll get lucky and we'll be able to see a little better as we pull back. But that lens now, it isn't as high as I would like it because of the lack of access. But as we go, it seems like we can see pretty good here, and there's flashes, but once it gets over the top of that camera, and as thick as all this is, I could try to run some water here. Flash. So it's at least half the diameter of the pipe, just from what you can see here in front. So from about 18. Go ahead and push back down again. It's about 12 to really 18, almost 20 feet long. And so we can try to flush it and we'll see if we can get some. But even the water's been sitting there for a while because of the cast iron usually turns that water black, and that's why we can't really see anything. And based off of what I'm seeing, this is really closer to like a 3-inch belly. And so I will mark the beginning of the belly, and I'm going to suggest that this be assessed by a licensed plumber to get a second opinion to see what they think of the severity of this, because it's about a 20-foot belly. The bellies can be kind of a strange thing. You cannot know they're there, and as long as the solids don't build up in them, they can last for a long time without causing any issues, or they could be something that causes repeated issues. If they build up with toilet paper and stuff like that, they can cause blockages. But a lot of times, if it's a medium to minor belly, they can just flow and people don't notice it. The biggest issue is if there's a cracked pipe near it and the water seeps out and dries out, and then the solids are left behind. As long as they're holding water, they can usually continue to flow. But without being able to tell 100%, which I actually forgot to locate that, without being able to see exactly how deep it is, we don't know if it's 2 inches deep or 4 or 6. It looks, based off of what I could see, that it was only about half the diameter of the pipe, but all I can see is the distance ahead of me, and so we don't know how deep it gets further ahead. But so I'm going to pause the video here, go get another locate of the beginning of the belly. Okay, so the line is 10 foot 1 inches deep here also, so just about 10 foot deep to the invert here. So you try to see if we can see what's in this water. Sometimes you can see if you don't shake it up too bad, you can see just how high that water level is above the camera. And it looks like it's just barely above the water line until you get here, and then all of a sudden which means there's probably some really light buildup. Anyway, it is marked, the beginning and the end of the belly is marked with a green flag and green paint. It starts just out back in the flower bed and then extends about 20 feet before it gets to the garden. And again, you do have some root intrusion there that would have to be monitored. It does look like it's been treated with some chemicals, but it is something that you do want to monitor in the future. And I recommend a second opinion there on that belly. We have a licensed plumber look at it and see what they think about the severity of that and whether or not it's going to be an immediate issue, or if it can be something that can not affect the line for a while. But again, I'm going to recommend that you do that. So the line overall, I mean, it's open and flowing right now. It's not backing up, but There is obviously that 20-foot belly that needs to be evaluated by the plumber, and then some root intrusion that should be monitored, just to be, to make sure that it doesn't grow enough to get down into the flow line and cause issues. So if not treated, if you do move in and it's not treated, I would at least check it in the next couple years to see how fast the roots are growing and get an idea of how quickly or how often to do maintenance. So that'll end the inspection at 3232 Atherton Road in Dayton, Ohio.